Hi, I'm John from Tui Balms over in Golden Bay. And yeah, honored to be here today. Thank you, Bruce. And it was interesting to hear that Keith Orr, who still works at Tui Balms, was back here 17 years ago. Yeah, because Keith is still an integral part of Tui Balms. And in fact, he wrote a bunch of notes for me, which was really cool because I learned more about Tui Balms. Is everybody here familiar with Tui Balms? Tui Bee Balm. It's a range of all-natural skincare and body care products made in Golden Bay since 1984. And Colin Isles, I'll do this. There's Colin Isles. It's a little bit hard to see, but on his arm, that's actually a swarm of honeybees, which is really amazing, actually. And well, Colin was a beekeeper and obviously very comfortable with bees.
Yeah, the bees are on that leg there.
Yeah, they're just the big swarm hanging off of his arm on his leg. And Colin had this recipe, and he called it Tui Bee Balm, and it was basically olive oil, certified organic beeswax, vitamin E, and propolis. And propolis is a bee byproduct known as nature's antibiotic, antifungal. And Bee Balm kind of caught on. And originally, it was made in the community house at Tui Community, which also began in 1984. Now, it's 50 hectares of land in Wainui Bay. When the community moved there, there was only the one community house, and people lived in house trucks and caravans, and they all shared meals in the community house every day. And Colin and some others got this Tui Bee Balm going, and it was made in the soup pot in the kitchen. And yeah, there were kids there, and there were woofers there, and anybody might answer the phone, and orders would come in. It might take 3 weeks to fill an order and get it out to the shops. And for many years, Bee Balm was the only product. The initial labor was all part of what we call the energy input system. So living at Tui, everybody contributes a certain number of hours per week towards supporting the community's running. And working for Bee Balm was part of that energy input system, so people didn't get paid. It was all voluntary labor for years. And that helped so that there wasn't a need to borrow capital in the early days because it was all coming through sweat equity. And there was no management structure at the time, and everything was decided by committee. And there's a note here, it says, "Arr." So that was like the early history, 1984 into sort of the early 90s. The product line grew. Somebody had developed this range of massage and body bombs. And originally it was their own sort of thing, and then it got co-opted into the Tui Balms range. Now we have a range of 4 lip balms and sticks and pots. We've got a couple of all-natural insect repellents that are really amazing. We've got inflammation relief balm. We've got a natural warming balm, a natural throat and chest, which is like a Vicks Vapor Rub, but it's all natural, no petroleum products. And we've got, yeah, quite an extensive range. And we're in about 450 shops around New Zealand. And we also sell directly to massage and physiotherapists and midwives as well. Sometime in the late 90s, the structure changed a bit. And at that time, they started paying themselves a rather nominal amount. It might have been $5 or $6 an hour. There was one sort of general manager who was in charge, and he was paid more. In the late 90s, Tui Balms got computerized, which was a real big step forward. And they also built a purpose-built building, a Tui Balms factory, which is still out in Wainui Bay. And at that time, you didn't have to have qualified builders. So basically, most of the timber was milled from the land, the volunteer labor that built it, or for kind of way below market value rates. The building was built, and at that time, they also re-imaged the whole product line, and they got a professional graphics guy in. And yeah, now there's the Tui Balms logo, which you probably know. It's a Tui bird, and the whole thing got a much sort of more marketable look. And at the same time, there was somebody who started bringing it into the UK. He had lived in New Zealand for a number of years, moved back to the UK, and he started importing it, so that there was actually about 20% or so of the revenues were through export to this guy Andy in the UK. Also in around 2001, Tui Balms got a website and had web sales, which was kind of ahead of its time, I'm told, that there weren't a lot of companies back then in 2001 with website capabilities. And yeah, there were a range of new products that came along, as I mentioned. And so, yeah, everything was going along tickety-boo, really good. So there was the general manager in the structure, and then there was another group of sort of 3 departmental managers. And then there were the rest of the workers, so answering the phones, taking orders, packing products, doing production in the production room, yeah, putting the labels on. We still put the labels on by hand, and that's a decision that has been made to sort of, yeah, so there's more work available. And we also have quite a number of products, and we do small batches, so it's always really fresh. So it's almost not worth having a labeling machine. You have to just keep changing things over all the time, and yep. So then, yeah, I think it was around 2007 or 8, the general manager retired, and the decision was made at that time to just carry on with the 3 departmental managers who would try to sort of carry the whole thing. And that was the year I started. That was 2009, I think, actually. And yeah, it sort of got a few wobbles going. It just wasn't going all that smoothly, and yeah, things were kind of falling through the cracks. And so then a decision was made to hire a new GM, and we hired a general manager from outside of Tui, whereas up till now, pretty much everybody in Tui Balms lives at Tui Community. Brought in a GM from outside, and within about a year, it just obviously wasn't working. And I think partly because he just didn't have the background and the knowledge of the business, and he didn't have the experience in the retail or the retailing aspect of it. And he came in with a lot of wonderful ideas, but they weren't necessarily relevant to what we were trying to do. And so in the period of about 12 to 18 months, what had one year been quite a significant sort of profit turned into a big loss. And so that was 2010, I believe. And then a decision was made, right, we're just going to go to a much more sort of egalitarian system. We're going to a flat wage system. We're going to have a minimal management structure. And that's where we're at today. We have basically 2 managers. And then we have a management group with 2 other sort of part-time managers. And then, as I said, everybody in the co-op is basically on the management committee. But we have a 3-tier wage system. So we have casual, and that's like for people who don't have a steady employment contract with Tui Balms. And then we have tier 2, which is basically everybody else. Because when I started, if you were doing production, you got one thing. If you were putting the labels on, you got one thing. If you were packing out, you got one rate. If you did what we call the hot seat, that's answering the phones, doing the invoicing, that was another. Everything was like all these slightly different rates. And I remember thinking, like, this is kind of weird for co-op. If we're like a worker cooperative, like, we should all be valued equally. And that's where we came to. So then that's the 2nd tier. And then the 3rd tier is for management hours, and that's like $5 an hour more or something like that. And only a portion of the manager's hours are actually at that higher rate. So there's a hybrid rate where basically, say somebody is doing 30 hours, maybe 12 hours at the management rate, 18 hours at the sort of tier 2 rate. It's a little complicated, but it feels just really nice now, because basically the idea is that we value everybody's input the same. And the fact is, maybe everybody wants to be a manager, or everybody wants to do invoicing, or everybody wants to do the but it doesn't work that way, because there are so many roles and so many people who want to have work. And so it feels quite nice to me that it's all sort of one wage rate now. Much more empowering for the staff. Yeah, over the last few years, we've had some other new products come along. We've got Tui Baby Balm, which for many years, Tui Bee Balm was New Zealand's favorite baby balm. But a lot of shops wouldn't put it with the other baby products because it didn't say baby balm on the label. Even though we give away like 10,000 free pots to midwives every year. So anyway, we developed this new Tui baby balm, and it's gone gangbusters. Just people totally love it. And it's not the same recipe. It is a bit different. That'd be cheeky to just put the same recipe in with a different label. What else? We've got this new massage balm and a pump. As far as I know, we're the only one with this. And it's a pumpable massage balm, so it's a slightly thinner consistency than the bottles. And it's available only in the unscented, but a lot of physiotherapists and massage therapists like that because they don't have to dip into the pot. They can just pump a little bit and go off and do their work. We put our lip balms into sticks. We used to have 4 flavors just in pots, and a couple years ago we finally got them into sticks, so now we have 4 flavors in sticks and pots. That's exciting. We came out with a new coconut and aloe vera massage and body butter. It's absolutely amazing. It's really, no, it's so good, but I won't go into it. But it's got everything the skin loves. Need I say more? Olive oil, organic coconut oil, food-grade coconut oil, vitamin E, shea butter, and aloe vera.
Where do you sell most of it? In Nelson?
Yeah, we have retailers all throughout the country, but there's probably about a dozen or 15 in Nelson, including the Nelson Food Co-op. Yeah. We actually made it available to anybody to buy online, and then we realized, because basically we were selling at wholesale prices to anybody, and we were kind of undercutting the retailers, so we just, decided not to. What's that? Yeah, it's not a good idea. The retailers didn't like it. Prior to that, we did have sort of online sales at the retail, and it got all really complicated. We thought, right, we're manufacturers and distributors. We'll leave the retailing to the retailers. Yeah.
You guys have your own store?
Our own store?
Yeah, we just sell primarily your stuff.
Well, at the factory in Wainui where we make it, we just have a little retail area because people come out to Wainui Bay and they want to come and see the factory. So yeah, you can buy it there, but you can buy it in shops in Golden Bay, Nelson, Mott, yeah, probably at a better price actually. So our constitutional structure is, in the New Zealand Company's Office, is part of the Industrial and Providence Society Act of 1908. And apparently that choice was made because of the management structure that we have. And I don't really fully understand it. It's even really hard to find us on the New Zealand Company's Office. But so we are a certified legal company. We are also a registered charitable trust with the New Zealand Charities Commission. And that's quite interesting because so we're a worker-owned co-op, and we're a charitable organization. And what that means as worker owners is basically we just work for wages. We don't get bonuses, we don't get top-ups, we don't really get anything besides our wages. And we can't like sell our share in the company. So I'm a co-op member, and it costs $1 to become a co-op member. And when I leave, I get my $1 back. I don't get anything more than that. And yeah, we can't sell our share in the business. I mean, basically it's a charitable organization and it's a worker-owned co-op. And it's sort of a blurry line. So if it was just a worker-owned co-op, then yeah, we would have the chance to, I guess, cash in more. But we like being a charitable trust as well. And all the profits that aren't reinvested in the business are donated to charities every year. Last year we donated, I think, $48,000 to about 18 charities. And yeah, that feels really nice. I'm just going to flip through some pictures here. There's Nairi and Richard riding their bikes to work. I mean, it's just like not even a kilometer down the road. There's a staff photo from a couple years ago. Another staff photo. Another staff photo. We take a lot of staff photos. This is Keith in our automated production facility. That's Keith Orr, who came here 17 years ago and spoke. There's Tyson and Richard doing production. So whenever we produce product, we have the production guy, and he's weighing everything out on the scales. And then we have another person from outside of production verifying the weights to make sure that they're consistent every time. There's Yana, yeah. Yana she's a sales rep, and she also does conferences and stuff, and she does the majority of the labeling by hand. That's Di. Di's been out at Tui for about a year and a half now. There's Yana again. There's our new extra strength bug spray. Really good. There's Keith stocking up the shelves. And as I said, we do small batches, so whenever we sell it, send it out to the retailers or the practitioners, it generally has at least 2 years of shelf life, best before life on it. There's Richard in the office in the hot seat. Jessica, that's me. Nairi, Aralyn, Tyson, Manu, Aralyn. There's me. I love this shot. These girls are so sweet. They're turning 3 years old in about 2 weeks, and they're my goddaughters. And one day I was over there with some baby balm, and I just thought, let's get some photos of the girls with the baby balm. And yeah, that one kind of came out quite cute, I thought. This is Aralyn at a conference. Nari and Ina at a conference. So we attend like the Massage New Zealand conference, the physio conference, we do the baby show, the midwives conference. There's Manu, Yana, and I'm not sure who that other person was. I think she came in to help out from the region. This is at the AMT conference in Australia. Tui Balms van. But
you sell much to Australia?
We do sell directly to practitioners in Australia. We don't have any retailers over there. I'm just going to go back now to the management structure a little bit. So at the moment we have 2 primary coordinators, a management group, which is 2 others, including myself and Franz. And we're trying to have all the departments be more responsible and pick up, is that 4 minutes? Okay, 4 minutes. So each department, just trying to get more empowerment within the departments for people to make decisions. And like Keith has a note here, Aralyn in Pack Out, great example because she sort of redesigned and implemented the new shelving system in Pack Out, and also just the little shop area where we do have products for retail. We all work part-time. Nobody does more than 30 hours, and it's really friendly toward the staff. It's almost a bit of a problem. I'll give you an example, like Luminate Festival just happened up on Takaka Hill, and most of us wanted to go. And we have this calendar board, and we all put our time away up there for the year ahead, and there's always like 8 people going to Luminate, but it just doesn't really work. So people had to come back and cover their shifts, and people were trying to get other people to cover their shifts, and it was just kind of like all up in the air. And then just before that happened, Nairi, who's one of our GMs, she wasn't due to have a baby until like late April, or her baby came like 15 weeks early. So Nairi was out. Franz had to go over to Holland. His father was in a dying process, so Franz was gone. Tyson injured his knee, and he was down. And then I came back from Luminate with this horrible flu thing, so I was down. And I mean, it was just like this total skeleton crew. And it's, because we spend so much energy trying to support the individual. But now we're in a process of trying to sort of redefine that and empower management a little bit more, so that, because the needs of the business are really kind of paramount to keeping the business going. And it's hard. It's hard to try to reel it in, but I mean, that's the bottom line in a way. Like, we're not really a bottom line kind of company, but we do have to take care of the business's needs, or there won't be a business. Oh, as I mentioned, we donate most of the profits or all the profits that aren't reinvested go to charities. And so at the end of each financial year, which is March 31st, we all get a certain portion to allocate. And we only allocate donations to New Zealand registered charities. So that way there's no issues with pecuniary gain or anything like that. But it's really fun. So we get to donate, we get to designate a portion of the donations, and to youth programs or permaculture programs or fire brigades or, yeah, like earthquake relief through the Red Cross. Yeah, that feels quite nice. And looking at the future, yeah, we're just going to try to continue to deepen the spread of responsibilities within the departments and just empower more sort of egalitarian operation. New product innovation, we're always kind of got one eye on what's a new product we can come up with. GMP, which is good manufacturing practice. The natural products legislation in New Zealand has just been passed, and there's actually going to be new standards, and so we're going to be putting an addition onto our building and creating like a GMP facility. And what that will enable us to do is to make health claims on our products. At the moment, like our inflammation relief balm, we can't say it gives inflammation relief because, yeah, we don't have the proper evidence-based this and that. So with the GMP facility and with, we've got a herbalist and a naturopath in production. He'll be doing all this research on studies. And yeah, we're going to start releasing some of these products as natural products. Under the natural product legislation bills, we'll be able to make claims. Manage growth. Yeah, we want to grow, but not too much to lose our values, which is, you know, we live at the end of the road in this beautiful place. You saw that first picture, and we really value that. And we're a smallish co-op. There are 12 of us that work part-time, and we're already a little stressed because our sales have been accelerating the last couple of years, and we're feeling that sort of stress at the level of where we work. And so we're trying to find a way to balance that, manage that, sort of contain it, and yeah, so that we can retain the lifestyle that we like. There's another picture of Colin Isles. He died a couple of years ago. He was such a lovely man. Did this volunteer work in prisons and just really good heart. Another group shot, and back to the beginning. So yes, thank you.